Everything I say is alleged, my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. So let's get into this review of Karen Landry's from Married at First Sight New Orleans interview with a content creator here on YouTube.
Karen, are you and Miles still together?
No.
Although Miles came out in during the New Orleans Essence Fest to say that he wasn't in his marriage anymore, Karen confirmed it for us, I guess, to let it be public on her end, to let us know that her and Miles are not together. I also feel like the interviewer would cut Karen off just when she was about to get into, some insight of her marriage, but that's just my opinion. So anyway, Karen speaks about her childhood and how she grew up, how her mother and father were very religious and very traditional. And I can remember her being on the show saying how she comes from a traditional family. Her doing love at first sight was out of the norm for her. So I could kind of see where the barriers were for her, but she also wanted to step out of her shell. She speaks about the Married at First Sight process. She talks about the text that was sent to her best friend with Miles' name before the wedding. Karen says she felt like it was a breach of trust from the producers, leading her not to trust the process. And I could get that. She says she wished she would have advocated for herself a little more. She said because she always played it safe, it made her step out the box to be uncomfortable, and this probably made her sign up for Married at First Sight. Karen says the minute she saw his name, she knew who he was and that he was one of the candidates because New Orleans is small and there was a text or something on social media going around like who's going to be on the next season of Married at First Sight, and she knew from there that Miles was a candidate, and she already went through his Instagram page and everything. She says Miles' age was an issue for her because, basically she said men don't mature at the rate of women. She lets us know that with New Orleans being small, that people talk, and she heard some things about Miles through mutual friends and was like, are you going to connect with this guy? She said it was nothing serious, but definitely some red flags. She felt that Miles' social media was curated to make him look a certain way. Karen also felt that she was portrayed to be a villain on Married at First Sight New Orleans season because of the editing, and she was not able to advocate for her true representation of herself because the show wanted to piece together a storyline. She said she pushed through the process for herself and came out of her shell, and that's what's most important to her. So here's the most important question that everybody wanted to know. She said, why haven't y'all come out publicly to let us know that you guys weren't together? So Karen said she didn't want to talk about her divorce, so she didn't go public. She said she was heartbroken and felt abandoned. And all that she feels like there's a purpose of her going through this process. And she said she leans on God. She said she was committed to the relationship. She was committed to the marriage. And was not the one who woke up one day and said they did not want a romantic relationship with anyone. Ooh, I got questions. So Miles basically was like, I'm over this marriage and didn't want to be in it anymore despite the vows he took. But okay. Her voice was very shaky, while she was speaking about this. You could tell that she's still hurt. Now listen, there's always two sides to a story. But for Miles not to be committed to this marriage, for Karen, in my opinion, was very devastating because all she knows or saw was her parents making a marriage work for 40 years and they're still married. So I can get Karen's pain. She speaks about some trips that her and Miles were supposed to take and Miles bailed out on her. The trips was to the Dominican Republic and Dubai. So she said she ended up going to Dubai by herself. Hey, hopefully you had an awakening when you went on that trip by yourself. You got to process everything. But I have questions. Like, did he just not want to go with you? Did he tell you why? Or did he just not give you an answer? Or did he just go MIA on you? Like, that's effed up if he did. But anyway, Karen said she held out hope that they could work it out and that there would be some level of accountability. And she said, to be honest, she's still waiting on that accountability, girl. And move on with life because these men ain't going to tell you nothing, okay? But she's waiting on this accountability to happen, but it's been too long and so much stuff has happened. Karen said or answered the question about her feeling gaslit by Miles. Oh, child. Basically, Miles was good on paper / the surface. Now, y'all can read between the lines on that one, okay? So Karen reveals that Miles have done things to her that she would have never done to him. Girl, elaborate. We need to know. But anyway, Karen feels that Miles shut her out while she poured her heart out. She said she was ready to be there for him and listen and support him, but Miles was not ready. Karen said she was willing to be there to support him and whatever was going on with him, but, you know, she had to set her boundaries for herself. So the consensus for me was that for Karen, Miles was just not ready to be truly vulnerable and open in the marriage. So the interviewer asked her, how did she come up with the nickname Killer? She said that her friends would call her that, and she remembered having a conversation with Miles, and he started calling her that on the show. Now, it's so funny because I remember the scene where she did not want Miles to call her Killer. So was it a thing where you shared it with him and he brought it to the world without giving you a heads up and that bothers you? I'm curious to know that. Because to be honest, I thought he came up with the name. But anyway, they move on and talk about her cooking and how she got into cooking, which started out as a chore for her, basically. And now she loves to cook. She shares her cookbook. She says she feels weird calling herself a chef because she is self-taught. Karen said that food is her therapy and that she wants to come out with a book. But in the book this time, she wanted to be little stories about herself so people can get to know her. Now, for me, I feel like this was a great interview. We've all been trying to find out if her and Miles were still together. And her giving this interview gave us a little more insight on why they're not together. So I can appreciate Karen for that. Anyway, y'all can go on over to the Curate for Women Network YouTube page. That's where the interview was at with Karen Landry. And that's all I got, guys. See y'all in the next video. Share the video. Let's have a conversation in the comment section. Hit that notification bell so you know when my next video comes out. And I will talk to you guys later. Peace.